Yo, what's up everyone? Vasquez up. This is Valoramous, and today's music producer tutorial, I'm going to discuss how to build an entire arrangement of a track from an 8 or 16 bar loop. So a common question from new producers is how to build a track to a full arrangement. I think this question is actually not that complex after you've been producing for a few years, but I remember in the beginning when I had created that brilliant 4, 8, or even 16 bar loop, I always wondered, how do I actually build this thing out to a full arrangement? So I'm going to discuss. Now, the first thing to recognize when building a full arrangement is you must understand song structures. So if you were a DJ, this is where it's going to help, because you are going to understand what comes next and how songs should typically flow. So in most cases, songs will have an intro, it'll have a verse, it may have a build-up section, it'll have a chorus, a climax, or a drop, however you want to call this section, but this is the most climatic, it's the part with the most energy, and it's generally the part that you should create first when you're creating your 8 or 16 bar loop, depending on your style as a producer. I generally create the drop or the climax, the chorus first, and then go from there. Then you may have a break section, a second verse, another build-up, another chorus or drop or climax, and then an outro, or you may have a bridge section and then a third chorus or drop. The bridge section was more common in music prior to, I would say, 2012. In the Spotify era, the bridge section has largely been removed. This could be construed as a good or a bad thing, but music in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and before, those typically had bridge sections. So you could just consider adding a bridge if that is your style as a producer. But what you're going to do when you're building this track to a full arrangement is you look at your most energetic section, which is your drop, climax, or chorus, and then you're going to have various elements and various layers. In the other sections, you are going to remove certain elements and then build that to a full arrangement. So the intro section, the first 4, 8, maybe 16 bars of the track, may only have drums, a bass line, and light pads or chords, and then maybe a little teaser. Then you're gonna have a verse section which may build on that. It may add additional layers such as chords or other synthesizer elements or guitars. And then the build-up is gonna have even more energetic drums and effects, and then it's gonna go into the drop of the climax. You could have an intro section that has no drums whatsoever, and it just has a very light pad section to basically introduce the main motif of the song. And then verse 1 starts, the vocals are added, maybe you add some light drums in the background, like some snaps, like a light kick drum, a filtered kick drum, a light clap, or a light snare. And as you're progressing the track, you're thinking this energy level that's rising to a climax to go to that first chorus or drop section. Then the second verse, the energy should come down a little bit, but still probably be a little bit higher than that first verse. And then again, you're going to raise the energy towards that second drop. And then the outro section should be a full circle and tie the track in back to the original intro. So it's going to be somewhat similar to the intro, but it may be more energetic than the intro depending on your style of music that you're creating. But the track should not immediately end at the end of that second drop. There should be some sort of resolution to the song and final moments of the track to fade the track away. So from the 1980s, think about tracks that used to have that long fade where it would be an extended chorus and the track would literally just fade out and disappear over time. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is just have no vocals, and then you just have drums and other various instruments in the outro section, but maybe not your main melody, which could be from instruments or could be from the singer, but you remove that melody away, and then that's removing elements from the most climatic part. So do not overcomplicate this endeavor, but you're gonna add different instruments, and you're going to take out or remove certain elements at various times. And you want to have this evolution to where the second verse is slightly different than the first verse. The first verse and the second verse should be more energetic than the intro section in general, not always, but in general. The build-up section should be more energetic than the verse sections, and then the drop section should be more energetic than the build-up sections that preceded the drop section. And this is coming from the perspective of an EDM producer, but these principles can be applied to just about any genre out there. So there you have it. Those are my tips for building a full track from an 8 or 16 bar loop to a full arrangement. If you have other tips, please leave those in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.